So one of the beautiful things is just the fact that we are never alone because our body really supports us. The fact that we're alive in the exact way that we are, there's a 1 in 400 trillion chance that we were born and that we were created in this way. And there's a reason, and there's just so much divine that we don't really see. Like the universe is always supporting us, always working with us to make our dreams a reality. And it's your choice, right? Whether you want to believe that or not, but it's like, what's the alternative? It's like when you create this victim mentality, that's actually what ends up happening to you. There's this big thing on manifestation, and people think manifesting is only the positive, but actually when you're in that negative mindset, you're actively manifesting negative situations because your mind is constantly in that state of, oh, but what if this goes wrong? And what if that goes wrong? And then that's what actually ends up actualizing. That's what ends up happening in real life. So that's a big one. And another is just how amazing life is, like this miracle of life. It's like we are given this gift, whether you choose to use it or not, it's kind of up to you.
Welcome, fellow entrepreneurs and goal-getters, to Entrepreneurial Elevation, Unleashing Greatness Within, with myself, your host, Kelley Beveridge, and my new friend, Bella Liu. And she is coming in all the way from Australia today, which is why I love having this podcast. I just get to meet phenomenal people from all over the globe, and she's just super cool. She's the founder of the business Invincible Co, which is a blend of business and spirituality, relationships and finance, creating a basis for a solid foundation to live a life of love, positivity, and light. She does coaching. She runs workshops. She has a podcast called To Be Invincible, and she's releasing a book very soon with the same title. And today we're going to be talking about being the deliberate creator of your life, and just really excited to have her here. So Bella, welcome.
Thanks so much for having me, Kelley. Yeah, I'm so excited to see what nuggets come out of this chat. And yeah, really so intensely feel this be the deliberate creator, because really whatever happens in your life, like taking responsibility and accountability for what is actually happening is the first step to really making a difference and creating that life that you truly dream of. Thank you for the opportunity.
I love it. I'm so grateful you're here. And I love this topic because I agree with it. Not always an easy thing to do. And so I'm excited for us to talk about it. And I'm just curious about your story. Like, when maybe share a little bit about yourself and your journey where you had that kind of aha moment where you're like, hey, wait a minute. I'm actually creating this and I have the power to choose what I want this to look like. I'm the deliberate creator. Like, when did that moment come? Was it a moment, or was it like in a series of things? Maybe speak to that.
Yeah, definitely. What a great question. So I feel like my journey really was fueled by curiosity. So when I was in high school and then moving into university, I was like, wow, I'm my own person now. Like at around 16, 17, I'm like, I can actually make decisions for myself. I started going on a bunch of overseas travel and exchanges, and they're all opportunities for my university. And I was 17 at the time, and I went on my first overseas trip. I was so lost. I remember I got to Belgium, which is a 30+ hour like flight from Australia, like multiple, multiple like transitions on the plane. And I lost my phone on that first day. And I remember like crying to sleep, like, what did I do to myself? How did I put myself in this situation? But it was like through all of these beautiful, unexpected circumstances and really unpredictable things. And I learned so much because of that. I lost my phone. I started this art series where I would just draw things I would normally take photos of. And it ended up turning into an Instagram page. And I was able to build opportunities off the back of that. And it's just like amazing that each thing really leads to the next, but it's about how you see it and really seeing the opportunity in what could be rather than like only focusing on that negative. And throughout my university degree, I worked so many jobs. I did 7 internships my first year, but all of this really came from, I don't really know what marketing is. I don't really know what design or events or sales, all of that looks like. Let me just have a go and give it a try. And over time, I really came to just fall in love with life so much. My first job, I came from work, and my parents were like, wait until you work, then you'll know the value of a dollar. And I was like, OMG. And they're like, what's up? And I was like, did you know you could get paid to work, like to learn? This is amazing. I found it so exciting that you could just explore so much in the world, and you really have that capacity and that joy. It just really lives within me to try all the things because you don't know what you like until you do it. So yeah, just really being able to put myself out there into all these different opportunities. I was always quite extrovert. I loved like applying for jobs, like all these things like really did help me. And once I started my business, it was like, I am just so in love with life. Like, why isn't this the norm? Why isn't this just so, you know, so ubiquitous? Like you wake up and you feel so passionate and so enthusiastic to be alive. Like I felt that so strongly inside of me that I was like, I need to help more people feel like this. I know it comes from within and it's something that you can kind of grow to learn and understand and really delve into yourself. So that was like a really beautiful journey of starting coaching and doing workshops and speaking and really creating a platform for myself in this space.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love that at the age of 17, because I know I traveled for the first time. I think I was 21 when I went to Greece and I met one of my friends over there and my luggage got lost. And just same thing, everything that could go wrong was going wrong. And I was so outside my comfort zone and my parents weren't with me and I'd been spoiled growing up traveling with them with everything
Mhm.
planned and organized. And so
Yeah.
yeah, you definitely learn a lot and you turned, like they say, lemons into lemonade, right?
Lemonade.
And yeah, all through, I'm sure like you just shared really briefly years of your life, and we're going to dive into it a bit. Yet I'm curious because you're like, "Oh, okay, well, I wake up and I feel alive and I'm so passionate." And I really believe that's what a lot of people are yearning for. It's like, what's your
Mm,
soul yearning to know? It's like how to feel alive, right? Like how to feel
mm,
passionate about our day, whether we're doing something exciting or it's just the day to day of what we've got to do to get to where we want to go. And so, what would you say? And I like how you started this, where you said being the deliberate creator is taking ownership and accountability for your life. So, what
mhm,
would be 3 or 4 beliefs that you would encourage people to adopt? Because I believe how beliefs are created is by what we tell ourselves. So, we have the power to choose our beliefs, right? So,
mhm,
what would be 3 or 4 you would encourage people to adopt so they can start to become the deliberate creator?
mhm. Definitely. So I really feel a big part of my journey has been around holistic health and like understanding the body. So one of the beautiful things is just the fact that we are never alone because our body really supports us. The fact that we're alive in the exact way that we are, there's a 1 in 400 trillion chance that we were born and that we were created in this way. And there's a reason and there's just so much divine that we don't really see. Like the universe is always supporting us, always working with us to make our dreams a reality. And it's your choice, right? Whether you want to believe that or not, but it's like, what's the alternative? It's like when you create this victim mentality, that's actually what ends up happening to you. There's this big thing on manifestation, and people think manifesting is only the positive. But actually, when you're in that negative mindset, you're actively manifesting negative situations because your mind is constantly in that state of, oh, but what if this goes wrong? And what if that goes wrong? And then that's what actually ends up actualizing. That's what ends up happening in real life. So that's a big one. And another is how amazing life is. This miracle of we are given this gift, whether you choose to use it or not, it's kind of up to you. But it also just gets to be fun. Like you can just decide, no matter what you're doing, right? Even if it's just going to work and doing your day to day, like you can find a bit of fun and bliss. It doesn't even need to cost money. It doesn't need to be like a really big step. It's like you have a conversation with a stranger, or like you just allow yourself to be open to the opportunities around you and massive also on signs and symbols. If I see something that makes me curious, I'll ask a question. I'll really just take a few extra steps out of my routine and out of my schedule to just explore that and be curious and be like, oh, what is that about? I'm curious. Like, oh, blah, blah, so someone mentioned this about this thing, and I'll actually follow up and I'll actually just send a message or like, be a bit more inclined to take that responsibility back with my own life. I'm actually here and realizing that your power as an individual is actually so beautiful. It's so like you're just so capable, so much more powerful than you really think you are. We always underestimate the power of the self and we overestimate like all the things that are happening outside of us. It's always your reaction to how you want to react to anything that's happening around you. Is it a learning experience or is it something that you're going to let affect you for, years and years and years to come and really like that sort of space. So yeah, I think Those are a few top ones for me.
Yeah, I love that. I've never ever thought of it that way. Like, yes, life is a miracle, but yet how you said we're never alone because we're in our body. We're with
Mm,
in that way. That's kind of a different way to look at it. I like that. And
mm,
it's true, we are always being like, if we're looking at whether you call it manifestation or creating or being the deliberate creator, it's not just the good, it's the bad as well,
mhm.
like quote unquote good
Yeah,
and bad, right? Yet really
yeah.
taking so I'm curious based on what you shared. So I agree, right? Like being curious, waking up, realizing things are a miracle, training our mind to focus on what we want and the signs that there's opportunity everywhere. What would you say? Like, how do we keep that mindset going and look at what's possible during challenging times? Because I don't know what's going on with 2025, yet every day I'm getting a message from somebody or a call
Mhm,
that they're going through big challenges. I'm going through some major challenges personally myself. I mean, then we
yeah.
have things going on like the Los Angeles wildfires. Like there's some real life stuff happening that has been outside of our control. And there is things that happen that are circumstantial outside people's control. So how do
Mhm,
we to show up during challenging times to still believe in what's possible and look for opportunity?
mm. Yeah. So, yeah, I love this question as well. I feel like it's so important to also embrace the bad moments. Every time an emotion comes up, like if it's sadness, if it's anger, I actually feel really grateful because I'm like, sadness means that I cared so deeply about something. And anger is also like passion. It's just the opposite, it's in the spectrum, side of the spectrum of the positive experience. And all of these emotions, all of these things are actually part of the human experience. Like we are meant to feel all of it. I think that a big thing that people will get into in the personal development space is that like positive is good and negative is bad. And I need to block out and avoid and really step away from anything that's serving me. But actually, everything is serving you. Everything is there to protect. Everything is there to tell you something. And to experience your emotions fully, to cry and to just be in that is so strong, is so vulnerable, is so important to our true essence. And it's actually a big thing that I've had to come to. We often think healing is about being the best version of you, never being like upset ever, right? But it's actually just loving all of the parts of you. So just because you're not having a great day, it's like I can still love myself in that. I can really give myself that like care and that time and that honesty to be like, yeah, this wasn't a great day, but that's cool too. Like we're gonna have our ups and downs. It's not about only having these positive days, but you said maybe more of a practical thing. Like I love journaling. I really feel that if there's anything on my mind, the best thing you can do is just write it all down. And it's like, wow, I feel so clear because it's all like just done. And you can make more sense of it as well, whether you're a writer or a typer, like you see it all on a page and you're like, oh, okay, like that kind of connects to that. You can make a lot more distinctions of what's going on rather than when it's all in your mind and you're like, you just start going in circles and cycles. You really start training this sense of like making sense of your information and what works well. Like I was recently thinking about this, and because I have worked so hard on a really strong default line of like, this is my baseline, this is what feels really good. If something does feel a bit out of place, like it might be interacting with a new person or a new business partner or something that comes up and that doesn't feel too right, I really think about it and I really reflect and I'm like, okay, is this something I want to adjust to and it will impact my life in a new way? And I'm happy to do that? Or is this something I would really like cut right now and making that decision earlier before it really gets to you and you're like, oh no, I've been like this really deep dark holes and finding the points that are kind of triggers for you and throughout time of those kind of milestones and then making quite like decisions that are intuitive and that are quite, yeah, like strong from within. Like you're really making that decision and being really clear on that as well.
Yeah, I love that. I like that what I'm hearing you say too is when challenges arise, acknowledge them
Yeah.
and feel them and
Mhm.
experience them in a way
Yeah.
where you almost then don't give that challenge the power because then you can let it go fully, right? Whether you use
Mhm.
journaling to do that, you
Yeah.
get curious and start asking yourself questions so that you can
Mhm.
move forward and make decisions that are aligned. And so I really like that. And I'm just curious as we're talking about this because a few things, because it's easier said than done. Don't dwell or focus on or give that challenge power. That's easier to do said than done. I like you talked a little bit about journaling, like getting it down and getting it out so you're not festering on it. Because as you
Mhm,
shared, what we focus on grows. So if we're constantly dwelling on a challenge or something, and by nature,
mhm,
I feel humans' default is to go to the negative story of a situation
mm,
and start to create that in our mindset over and over again. Do you have
yeah,
some more practical examples or tools or ways that people can start to create the positive version of a
mm,
situation or circumstance so that once again, if we're creating the outcome we desire, how do we train our mind to focus on the positive thing that we're wanting to move towards?
mhm. Yeah, as you said, it's very common for people to focus on that worst case scenario because your anxiety really gets the better of you. Another thing I would really recommend is like this accountability. And I do this a lot with my clients as well. They're like, oh, life is, so horrible. Like I'm the victim, everything's just happening to me. And then within a few weeks of chatting, they're like, wow, like I'm gonna just like put my hand up for something at work. Like I just decided something. This is going to be amazing. This is gonna be so much fun. And it was like this beautiful transition from, oh my God, everything's just happening to me. Like nothing's working out my way. I actually can do stuff. I can make a decision. Like life is creation, right? Like we are actually able to do things. And it is a slow progression. It's really not helpful to be like, okay, I need to go from 0 to 100 right now. I need to be from negative to positive like all the time. It does take time. And I really am a big proponent of having a great social circle, having that ability to keep yourself accountable, like going to the right people around you, whether it's yourself, Kelley, or you're there for your friends. And that's what's really beautiful. You can all help each other grow. And it starts from within. But then when you're around the right people, like you can all really help each other level up and keep each other accountable. If you're talking about something, it's like, girl, you're amazing. You're awesome. What are you talking about? Where's this coming from? Yeah, I know. I think I'm just like a bit lost and blah. Like having someone who's just back you up, could be family, could be friends, could be coworkers, but really being able to know the types of people that you have in your life and how they're actively affecting you as well. Just being really clear on that and who are the people that you really want around, like being intentional with every single thing in your life, not just your thoughts, but the active energy, the people, even like food, and really like thinking about what affects you personally, because it is such a personal journey. I'm big on just reflecting. It depends what phase of my life I'm at. So there are times where I'm going really deep into it and I like track everything, have spreadsheets for everything. And I'm like, okay, I exercise, like how did that make me feel? Da, 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 da. And then other times, like I just do it by intuition and flow, and I'm like, oh, I'm not going to think about it too much because that would get me really bogged down. So it really does depend where you're at. And everyone's also different. Like I love data. I'm like kind of a data nerd. So I'm just like always in my spreadsheets. But then people might just draw. I think creative journaling is really beautiful too. I recently posted a bunch of topics like that you can journal on. So like you have the topics and you take max 5 minutes to just draw anything that comes to mind and then you journal on what that means to you. And it really does uncover a lot of beautiful things that you weren't like that weren't really top of mind, that they weren't on the surface or much deeper. But because drawing is this really like intuitive art space, and like when
Mm.
you start drawing, it connects different things. It's using your brain in a different way. It's like that left versus right mind. And I feel like so many really beautiful things come out. I'm like, oh, I never really thought of it like that. But when you visualize it, something different actually rises to the surface as well. So there's so many different ways. I think like really tapping into the type of energy that you learn best and you use. People are visual learners. I'm myself like more kinesthetic. So I love like experiencing things and then asking questions while I'm doing it versus just like theory. But then other people love like reading and researching a lot. So everyone's quite different in that way.
I'm curious because you talk a lot about energy, which I love and I agree with. And what I'm wondering what your take is on this because I believe to create, it does serve us to be in a space and a frequency of where we have the energy to be able to do that, right? And the space to be able
Mhm.
to yet that requires my personal belief being able to raise the standard of what it looks like to have access to me and also have healthy boundaries in place with some people who may not be at a level of awareness that you're at or I'm at. Not saying that we're up here, but just everybody on who's listening to this is at a certain level of awareness
Mhm.
going to be I'm sure most people have people in their life they love yet there's
Mhm.
a requirement of some kind of boundary there to be able to have
Mhm.
a relationship. Yet as you're
Yeah.
speaking, because a lot of what I'm going through and a lot of what I've been talking to other people about is their energy is being drained by other people's who are not in a space of acknowledging that they're the deliberate creator of their life.
Yeah.
So I feel
Mhm.
like when we actually lean into practicing this, we get tested a lot by people around us who
For
are
sure.
not practicing it. So how do we balance that? How do we have
Mm.
outside of what we're attempting to create and manifest? Or do we put boundaries in place and not let people have access to us? Like, how do we
Mm.
juggle? That's like real life.
Yeah, yeah. I actually have a module on this, and it's called Being Strong But Kind. And it's so important to set boundaries for yourself because you you won't get anywhere when other people are just taking your energy and affecting it so much. And you have your own goals, so you need to really figure out who are the right people that you want around you that will help you to create that. And if it's not helping, then how can you actually find a way to build your own defense forces so that you
Mm.
can get to a point where even if someone does say something, it's not affecting you to the point where it might have in the past. Finding that strength from within when you do work on your ideas and you're like, well, I know that this is really important. I know that this is like valuable and a valuable use of my time. So if I have like negative feedback from other people, you're able to compartmentalize that a bit. Like from this is my journey. And I really felt like it's not important what people think of you. It's important what you think of yourself. That's so much more important to reflect on. I've had lots of different paths in my life so far. I'm very lucky to have done a lot of different things. But when I've been in places where I have a lot of work people around me, I find that it becomes really competitive and quite shallow sometimes, or quite superficial. And I was like, I realized in certain moments, I'm like, I don't actually want to be like these people. And even though that would be what most people see as success, and oh, all these people are like CEOs of big companies and all the doctors, lawyers, blah, 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 have multiple businesses. I really remember like multiple moments in my life where I'm like, actually, that's not like my value system. And that is something that was a big thing to step away from, but really needed. And now I feel so much more balanced because I had these experiences on quite extreme sides of the spectrum. I was able to be like, my opinion of myself matters the most, much more than what people might be saying about me or people might think. And I'm really big on identity and labels. So don't get so caught up in these labels that society might give you because you are going to meet a lot of people in your life, right?
Mhm.
And each person is going to put you in a different bucket based on their own experiences, based on their past circumstances. So you can never like determine exactly how you're going to be perceived. So like letting go of that kind of expectation to having yourself like, I need to be this person. It's like when I am fully myself and being authentic and I'm showing up as what feels fun to be me and what feels enjoyable to explore, then I'll be like, oh, you're the busy bird, you're the traveling person. Okay, sure. Yeah, that's fine. You can think of me in any way you want because I really enjoy myself and no one can take away that piece from you, but they can take away that validation if you are relying on it that much. If you're saying, oh, I need this person to like me because if they don't, then I can't move forward with this because I need their approval. You are just shooting yourself in the foot every damn time, right? Like every single time that you want to move forward on something, you're relying on other people to tell you that you're doing a good job, telling you that things are going to be okay. But it's okay to have support for sure. You need to, like, things in your life have to be led by you. And that's just such an important thing to remember and realize like over and over again. It's kind of this constant reminder as well. Like we will often get stuck in these relationships. Like they really suck you into this space and you're like, oh, I need this and this. And you get like really stuck in like the emotional vulnerability side of things. But yeah, like when we give ourselves power, that's when we can make the best decisions for ourselves and be like, this person's good for me, this person isn't. And you can act accordingly to that. And it's so important.
Hey everyone, I'm just hopping on quickly. Hope you're enjoying the episode so far. And I just wanted to share that I have partnered with Please Notes, and they are a phenomenal business who has a lot of tools to support our mindset and our entrepreneurial journey when it comes to things like planners and daily journals and daily affirmation cards and self care stationery, just a lot of cool things. So I just want to hop on here and say, check them out. If anything interests you and you decide to purchase, you can get 15% off through using the code Kelley, Kelley. So just click the link in the show notes of this episode. It'll take you to their website. You can see what they have. And if you put in the promo code Kelley, Kelley, you'll get 15% off. I'm currently using right now this journal. I love it. It says, I am capable of wondrous things. And I use this on a daily basis. It's guided. So you can see here, I've been using it. Yeah, you open it up and it gets your mind thinking about different things. It asks you about your goals. It gives you some prompts on what to journal on. And then on a lot of the pages at the very bottom, it's got different quotes just to spark your creativity and your mindset and solution mindset around what's possible for yourself. So just wanted to hop on and say, please notes, phenomenal business that I've partnered with, and just go and check them out. All righty, back to the episode. Yeah, what you said, that it's important to be led by ourselves. I love that.
Mhm.
I think that ultimately is how, I believe anyways, we can create higher fulfillment for ourselves. And I'm
Mhm.
curious because we're chatting about some of these things, yet you're a very successful businesswoman. I know you said like labels and identity, but that is who you are. You've created a lot of business. You've been successful. You are successful. And so I'm curious how you blend spirituality, like a lot of the things we're talking about, into your daily business practice. And
Mhm.
what does that even mean to you, spirituality? Because that kind of gets thrown around, right?
Yeah.
And a big part of your business. So how, maybe share what your meaning of spirituality is and how do you relate
Mm.
that to business?
The contention around spirituality is so interesting because, a lot of people will like be quick to say, oh, spirituality is like yoga, meditation. But for me, like spirituality just means that connection with self. And it's like your values, your alignment, how we see the world, whether you believe in something greater than you. I feel spirituality is behind every single decision I make. It's like about how I'm going to feel with myself after every decision is made. It's like that really deep connection with things you can't really see. So it could be like your higher self, could be your future self, could be your younger self. Like, am I living in alignment with what feels right to me and what actually like my future life that I want to live looks like and how to do that. So yeah, like a bit more about my journey is I was really like deep into business and tech, very data driven, very money, like we were doing seed funding, Silicon Valley, all of these different things. And I did really well in that world because I think I mastered a lot. I was like, okay, this is what I need in a like rat race world, like in a dog eat dog world, like this is what is needed. And I was able to bring my spirituality, but it was always kind of like guarded. So it's like business consulting, but then I'd be like, do you like yourself? I was these deeper questions, but it was kind of like hidden. Like I wasn't really able to be fully like myself. And then actually because of that, I really got burnt out and I decided to take a big break. Like I remember someone was wanting to pay me at like 30 grand to just to work with me as a retainer. And I was like, okay, no, like, so I need a breather. And I took a break. I actually went and did the past, which is a 10-day silent meditation retreat. I shaved my head. I did a lot of things. I was going through this journey of like beauty and identity and who am I? And then I studied herbal medicine. So I really got into like holistic health as well. And that Zentai Shiatsu, for example, like that's my wellness studio spaces. And that has really led me down this path of like our deep connection with self and body. And it's all separate, even though it's all happening at the same time. Like there are different values. And if we look into acupressure, meridians, and different points of the body relate to different emotions. And it all is really connected. Like nothing you do just goes unnoticed and everything connects in some way. So like the body always keeps score, that really popular book, but like body keeps a score and your body holds on to trauma. So if you don't do something in line with how you feel, it affects you long term. That's actually where a lot of physical illness comes from, is you not listening to yourself in those earlier years. And I find that the more I look into it, the more it all just connects. And I found that it just makes so much sense. I was talking to a friend recently about the differences between Western and Eastern medicine. And Western medicine is very much anti, if you're vomiting, we'll give you pills not to vomit, right? We'll give you things not inhibition based. So like, let's not feel those things. Let's stop that right away. And with Eastern medicine, Chinese medicine, it's all about, if you're vomiting, it means a part of your body might not be as strong as it could be. Let's strengthen that part of the body. And once everything's flushed, then it won't happen as much because you're like, your body is stronger. And it's just interesting, like these slight differences, when it makes such a big difference. It's like, are you avoiding something or are you working through it? The obstacle is the way. It's like, how can we really feel into these things that we're feeling, these negative things? It's all there for a reason. I really believe that oftentimes we'll be like, why am I feeling this? Like, I shouldn't be feeling this. But it's actually really important, whether it's to share your journey with other people who will benefit from it, or whether it's just to know that you can get through this. I've had really rough times in my life as well, but the resilience that has led me to just feel like, wow, I can do so much more than I thought I could. Like I went through the deepest, darkest pits, and I'm like, I could still get out of that. I remember, I think we spoke about this on a different call, but I was saying at one point in my life, I said, no matter how bad things get, they can always get worse. I've had really, really tough moments. And at that time, I was like, let's just do one tiny step every day or every time that I could be bothered. It's like, just do one little thing that could help. And a year later, I remember reflecting, I'm like, I can't believe where I was at a year ago and how much I have, how much abundance there is, and how much things just really work themselves out and really made sense. But it's this story that you create as well. It's like, how do you want to see the world? Most people are in a very privileged places, but they choose to see that all the things they don't have versus, wow, like I have done things that younger me would have been really surprised about, it would have been like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you did that. But we don't celebrate it ourselves enough. We don't create these rituals and these kind of like sacred moments where we're like, wow, like I'm just proud of myself. Like I can just be happy. I don't actually have to wait until that next step or that next milestone to be happy. I can just choose to be happy right now. And, these moments of self-compassion and just kind of like calmness and peace within ourselves makes a really, really big difference to our everyday lives. Yeah.
Yeah. You
And
just
the
shared,
energy. Yeah.
so much
Yeah.
there. I love how you're like, the obstacle is the way. And that's the important belief to adopt as well, that when obstacles arise there, if you
Mhm.
ask enough questions, you will find the
For
solution
sure.
from that. And I'm curious, you've had quite the journey and you just shared a little bit about it. What would you say is the most surprising thing that you have learned and discovered about yourself throughout your journey?
Maybe the fact that you could do so much, right? It's actually insane to me. I posted on LinkedIn about this recently, and it was like at the start of last year, I started 4 new jobs in completely different fields that I had no experience in. And it was like, there's so many transferable skills alongside my businesses, because I was like, I started building out my businesses to a point where they were really self-sustaining, and I had partners, like really great partners, people were doing day-to-day operations, things like that. So I was like, oh, I have this free time. What should I do? Ended up going to NASA and doing personal development workshops for high school students. Like I was doing outdoor education, which is like something I'd never done before, but it was so cool. And I was like really being out there in the wild and with like different groups and doing scavenger hunts and all sorts of fun stuff. And then, yeah, I was working backstage at concerts, and I also currently still work at a co-working space with people with disability. All of these spaces were just so new and different. Like I've had 3 main, I guess, corporate careers in like marketing design, around property and TV and film. And it's just every year it just comes with new surprises. Like they ask you the question, where do you think we'll be in 5, 10, 15 years? I have no idea, because every year just comes with the most unpredictable things. And most of the time it's like your decision, right? Whether you choose to be like, okay, this is a fun, exciting, challenging thing that I can explore, or this is like the worst thing that's ever happened to me. There's so many takes you can make, but I just love that the world is full of opportunity and like things you would never even know existed, right? Another thing I'm working on is actually a retreat to Antarctica. And that is like the most random thing, right? Something called out to me, and then I ended up meeting like 2 people in 1 week who were like, oh my God, I've had the same idea. So now we're like all working on it together. We've booked a few like cruise lines and what sort of workshops we want to do. And it's just like following this flow, and like definitely having that stability is really important, that emotional as well as financial stability, to be able to explore your options in life without feeling too bogged down or too pressured or stressed out. But I think how much is available to you if you just say yes and try it out. There's heaps of things I've done that have failed, but like of the things that have worked out, I'm like, this is awesome. This is actually so much fun and just super varied. And you just don't know what's coming. There's always going to be new things that I've never even heard of. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Let's go for it, So
Mm,
it's just beautiful. Yeah.
gosh, I love your energy. It's so true. It's like there's and once again, though, that's a belief to choose to adopt is
Mm,
belief that there are opportunities everywhere, right? And the
mhm,
more you open up to that, the more you see them, the more they come your way, the more you talk about it and be in the flow. What you need for the opportunity
mhm,
to manifest comes along, all of that stuff. But it starts with the core belief of, hey, there's opportunities everywhere. There really is.
mhm.
Right. And so I love that. And so I'm just curious, Bella, where can people find you if they're and like what do you have on the go? So if people are listening and they're like, oh my gosh, I love Bella's energy and her message, and I just want to know more about what she has available, where can people find what you have available and where can they connect with you?
Yeah, definitely. So Instagram and LinkedIn will probably be my main platforms that I'm super active on. Yeah, like we always have workshops happening, like some are online, some are in person. Our next one is in February. We're doing a Valentine's Day workshop, but that is in person in Sydney. But otherwise, like most months, we'll have some sort of workshop with a partner or myself. And I also provide one-on-one coaching as well as group coaching programs. Some of our recent group coaching programs have been on being the intentional influencer, so around our relationship and productivity with technology and social media and how to really utilize the algorithm in your favor to, yeah, create content if that's what you want, to make an impact, to build community. It's really, really awesome. And then another on financial freedom and like your mindset around money and what actually makes the biggest difference. Like one of my favorite questions from that workshop was around where are you now and where are you once you've made it? What is that gap and how can you embody it now? I think like a lot of our fears around money actually date back a lot of generations actually. It's just like a beautiful healing experience to really dig into that as well. But as you said, my podcast and my book coming out, so definitely connect with me on Instagram and LinkedIn to hear more about them. And yeah, it's all about lifestyle. I really feel everything's connected, like business, spirituality, relationships, and finance. It underpins everything, but it's not helpful to look at one thing at a time because it is all connected. How you are in your business is affected by how you are in your relationship. So you should be looking at it all very holistically. And that makes the most sense to me. So that's what, yeah, really been awesome to see for my clients as well.
Awesome. Awesome. And congrats on writing a book. That's a big deal too. So excited for that to come
Thank
out.
you.
Information in the show notes so that people can easily find you and
Yeah.
then check out some of Bella's workshops, right? Okay, so Bella, I have just a few last questions. So you've had this journey and I'm just curious, and you talked a little bit about it already, yet what would be your version or definition of success today?
I think success is about balance, is about, for me personally, I remember doing these little activities and exercises for myself when I was growing and building a business. And my perfect day always looked like a massive variety of things because that's my personality. So, like, I would wake up, maybe have a podcast episode, have a coaching client, do some business admin, and then see my friends. And actually, that's quite funny because that's my schedule today. But like, no, it's like every day. It's just amazing. I really allow space for new things to come up. Like I try and not keep very busy. Like I'm really open. And a lot of people think I am super busy because I'm running a lot of different things, but I actually create so much time freedom in my life. I delegate when I need to. I am able to train people up. Like I really put in that extra effort so that like my life is the biggest priority, like my self-care, my health, my family, my friends, like being able to do things that are novel and fun and you get to try things out. Like I've done a free diving course and I've gone camping at festivals just because I love the discomfort. I just love like being in a space where you just don't know what's going to happen. Like the weather's unpredictable because it's important to put yourself in these situations where you're constantly building that mind over matter. And another thing is that I love ice baths. So I'm just like really into, yeah, like your mindset, your mentality is the most important thing. So really putting that first and realizing that every single thing is like also happening for a reason. So just not, I don't know, like not overthinking and like creating situations when there isn't something to make. And I always just check back in. I'm like, am I enjoying this life that I'm here for? Like, it's not that much time really when you think about it. It's like 30,000 sleeps or something. I'm not exactly sure, but like, yeah, it's really not that much. Just kind of enjoying what comes your way and like having fun. Yeah, having
Yeah.
fun, being just present with it all. And creating is so much fun to be able to do something and be like, it was just an idea in your head and you make it a reality for like hundreds of people sometimes. It's like, this is such a cool life that we get to live, especially with social media. Like there are so many things that are available and accessible to us and that are permissionless because of the current age we live in. And that is a privilege and that is a perk. And a lot of people go down this technological determinism route where it's like internet is the worst thing that never existed. But it's actually just up to you how you want to see that opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a beautiful
Well,
the way you live your life. I love it. And that's how you and I met, right? Is because of social.
yeah.
We wouldn't be here talking today, right? Wouldn't even have a
Yeah. It's so
podcast.
beautiful. So good. So
Oh,
good. Exactly. Yeah. And I love that so much as well. Just being able to create like what feels right to you, like what sings to your heart. And no one has the same exact vision as you. You can find people along the way and definitely make use of that. There's friendships, there's companionships, but there's something special and there's a reason for that. So really listen to it and grow that intuition that you have inside because there's a reason why that's there.
yeah. And that's a good segue into my next question, which is what would be 3 things you would recommend for somebody to unleash their inner greatness?
Listen to yourself. Like a lot of people have this really disconnected energy exchange with themselves. We will often go to every single person but ourselves to be like, oh, what should I do? What should I do? And like, how should I go about this? But at the end of the day, you actually already know. This will often happen in my talk. So I'll do a big talk with students or a conference, and then when it's Q&A time, everyone's, this is my situation. What should I do? And I'm like, I don't know you. Like, how am I supposed to tell you? But it's like, what do you want to do? And then people are often answering their own questions, and that's what I love about coaching, is because oftentimes, like, you're really just leading people to feel more empowered, more safe, more confident in themselves so they can come to their own conclusions, but in a really safe, open space. And that's what's so beautiful about coaching. Secondly, it would be like facing the thing, right? Like oftentimes if you have a argument or a miscommunication with someone, we'll tend to want to complain about it or talk to everyone else about like why this person, blah, blah, blah. And so many times, like 10 out of 10 times, it's always so much better to just have a chat with that person and be like, hey, I think there's a bit of a miscommunication. Or, hey, is this what you meant? Like I saw as this, is that right? And then, and then you always get to more clarity when you're just talking to the person straight up. And oh, it actually ended up just being like not a big deal, but we love the drama. We love like, oh my God, that person said this, da, 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 da. And it's just like actually just have a conversation and it's generally okay. This happens all the time. Like whether it was like with roommates in the past or co-worker and you're like, oh, they hate me. You're like, this. And you're creating so much out of nothing, but it's often so hard to, to like put
Mhm.
yourself out there and be like, oh my God, like I need to talk to them face to face. But it's always so much more useful for like your own peace as well. And last one that's coming up to me is about forgiveness. And I think that's as much forgiving other people as forgiving yourself, because we can be so hard on ourselves that, "Oh, I should have done this and I regret that decision." And you look back and do you want to, it's like you can actually change your past. You can change your story that you create about your past. It's like how you tell that is how it exists in your mind. If something wasn't great, you're like, oh, but it's part of this journey and I'm grateful for it. I was so stupid. And I'm like, I shouldn't have done that. Like if the energy is so different and you can feel that, right? So it's
Mhm.
like, how are you deciding to go ahead with your life with everything that's happened? As much as we want to live in the present, of course, we made up of our memories and made up of our past. It's like, how do you want to see that past? And you can decide how you want to talk about it. You can decide how you feel about it. It could be through a deeper dive. It could be through this journey. It could be through a coaching session. But it's like being able to understand what has made you and actively intentionally creating that story about yourself is going to be so helpful for your journey as well. So your inner
Yeah.
greatness. Yeah.
Those are awesome. Listen to yourself, deal with things and people head on and learn to forgive yourself and others. Love that.
Really.
Okay, last question. What would be a call to action you would give the listeners when they hop off here today that they could implement this week to practice being the deliberate creator of their lives? What's one thing?
I actually love this creative, like fun activity. It's about colors. So you choose a color. It could be red or yellow or green or blue, whatever. Then you go out. There's two options. One is go out for a walk, like whether it's like a half an hour walk, or you just follow this one color. Like you take photos and then you just see what like patterns and connections you make. We all notice different things, and it's like giving yourself that power and that like that capability of I am here. Like I am feeling these things for a reason. I am seeing these things for a reason. And you just get to know yourself. You're like, oh, why? Like, what does that make me feel? Like what memory does that attach to? There's so many things you can do from this, or it could be over a week as well. Just find red things in like 1 week and see what comes up. And then like, it's just like a really beautiful practice. I just love this as like an activity because you get to, get to know yourself in different ways. And it's like a fun, creative thing, but you can put a business spin on it. You can put a spiritual spin on it. You can put like a relationship spin on it. It could be any, and that's up to you to customize it to your own situation as well, which is so much fun.
I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
That's a great exercise and just see what comes up. Right. And so, Bella,
Yeah.
just thanks so much for being here today. I just really appreciate
Thank
you
you.
and your time. And I know the listeners are going to get so much value. And just thank you so much.
Thank you, Kelley. I really enjoyed our chat as well. It was beautiful.
Awesome. Everybody go and be and choose to be the deliberate creator of your life. You can do it. You have the power and you are so much more capable than you're probably giving yourself credit for. So let's make a mutual agreement that we're all going to practice.
Beautiful.
All right. Here's everybody. Hey, everyone. Thanks so much for listening in to the episode today. Really enjoyed talking to Bella. She just has such a cool and refreshing outlook on life. And I love her message about being the deliberate creator of our life. And in order to do that, well, the truth is we're always being the deliberate creator. Yet if we want to bring forth the magic of a life that is something that we want to be living, it's about taking responsibility and believing that we can actually deliberately create the life that we want. And that's pretty cool stuff. And so if you enjoyed today's episode, I encourage you to go back and listen. I did an episode 47, with my friend Paul Sahota, and he talks about making aligned decisions and how to trust your intuition. And I feel like being a deliberate creator, if that's something that is interesting to you, yet you're not quite sure how to go about doing it, the first place to start is to start to learn how to trust your intuition. And so go back and listen to episode 47. If you enjoyed today's, you'll definitely like that episode. And just really excited for the next episode. So stay tuned for the next episode next week coming your way with Irene Riyad. And we're going to be talking about her purpose, which is to inspire leaders with life significant setbacks to live their legacy through their work. And so if you've had something happen in your life that has been a massive setback, which I feel like most people have, right? It's all relative. We've all had setbacks in our life. This episode you're going to want to listen into. I am blown away by Irene's story and her power of resilience and just how she's taken what she has gone through and she's channeled it into her work to create significance for herself and where she's at now in her life and just the impact she's had on so many people because of it. And so tune into next week's episode. It's going to be awesome. And just once again, thanks so much for being here. With love, greatness, and success, it's your host, Kelley Beveridge.